Good morning, Yidden. Today is Aleph Kislev Tavshin Ayin Tes, Rosh Chodesh Kislev, Yom HaBoyer. Right? We know that it's the day we had a Farbringen last night in honor of Rosh Chodesh Kislev in the Hasidic calendar, in the Babish Hasidic calendar. This is a very big day because in 1978, on Shmini Atzeret night, the Rebbe unfortunately suffered a massive heart attack in the middle of the Takafot. And he was in a very dangerous situation. And if you listen to the interviews of the doctor that treated him at the time, Dr. Weiss, he says the recovery and the following ability of the Rebbe to function fully was miraculous. And Rosh Chodesh Kislev was the day that the Rebbe went home for the first time since Rosh Chodesh Kislev Tavshin Amud Ches. Was the first time that Rebbe went home from his room in 770 since that episode on Shmini Atzeret Tavshin Amud Ches. So it's celebrated every year. It's designated as a day of great Yom Tov, and so on and so forth. And we marked it with Farbringen yesterday. So it's an auspicious day for all good things. We are up to the middle of the Mamar of Vayihiyu Bnei Yisroel Bamidbar, Shabbos Pasha Shlach Mevorcha Mechedesh Tammuz Tavshin Yud Gimel. We are on page Kuf Ayin Zayin, and we are 8 lines from the bottom. The line starts the Klolus, whereby the full stop. The Rebbe is explaining over here that in Avodas Hashem, in man's service of Hashem, there are 2 modes, 2 possible modes. One is to serve Hashem b'medida v'agbola, limited, and one is to serve Hashem beyond limit. The Rebbe first explained. He says Avodas Hashem in general is divided into 3 areas: Torah, Avodah, and Gemilas Chasodim. As the Mishnah says in the beginning of Avos, Pirkei Avot, Al Shloisha Dvarim Ha'olam Omed. The world stands on 3 things: Al HaTorah, Al HaAvodah, Val Gemilas Chasodim. And in each of these areas, we can serve Hashem in a limited way or in an unlimited way. And the Rebbe started with the first one, with Gemilut Chasodim, because that's Maisa, action. Now the Rebbe moves on, so too in the line, in the area of Avodah. In other words, in the Avodah of these 3, there's Torah, Avodah, Gemilut Chasodim, right? Torah means studying Torah. Avodah means Tefillah, as the Rebbe will explain. And Gemilut Chasodim, we know what that is. That's acts of loving kindness. So too in the area of Avodah of these 3, of Torah, Avodah, Gemilut Chasodim. What is the Avodah referring to? A Zuhi Avodah Shebelev. The Gemara says in Tainis, what is called Avodah of the heart? Zu Tefillah. This is a reference to prayer. We say in Shema, and Vahoyim Shemaya, the second portion of Shema, Vahoyim Shemaya Tishma La'avas Hashem Alekechem Ula'avdei B'chol Levavchem. If you will love Hashem and serve Him with all your heart, Ula'avdei, and serve Him with all your heart. Says the Gemara, how do you serve? What kind of service do you perform with the heart? Service you perform with the hands. You got to act on it. What's serving with the heart? How do you serve Hashem with the heart? It's a reference to prayer. So therefore, when the Chazal say in the Mishnah in Avos, when our sages say in the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, on 3, the world stands on 3 things, and one of them being Avodah. What Avodah is that Mishnah referring to? It's referring to Tefillah, to prayer. And concerning prayer, Amru Razal, our sages say in Gemara Brachas, in the Mishnah Brachas, Altas Tfilas Chokva El Rachmim V'Sachanunim. Don't cast your prayer, don't make your prayer fixed, but make it mercy and supplication. Meaning to say, don't do it as something something that you do regularly can become routine. And you lose the intention of doing it. It happens almost automatically. You could be even absent-minded while you do it. prayer should not be, even though we daven regularly, don't set prayer in such a manner that it becomes routine, by rote, that we lose the intent, the kavanah, but make it rachmim v'sachanunim. Pray with mercy and supplication. The kivin sheyesh zmanim. What's the problem? The kivin sheyesh zmanim kvuim shechayom l'spalel, being that there are fixed times when one is obligated to pray. It's possible that because of the routine, the prayer of the person should be as someone who pays off a debt. You've got to do it, so you get it done. As the Yiddish expression is, ich hab abgedavnt. It's not abgedavnt. Davening has to be an experience. We have to focus on it. Because if it is in a manner of as paying a debt, shehu hepechin tefillah. If we daven in this manner, as described here, it's exactly the opposite of a prayer is about. Prayer is about kavanah. Prayer is about levavchem. What is the avodah of shebelev? Is tefillah. If we daven by routine, by rote, without any intent, without any feeling, it's exactly the opposite of what tefillah is. The oz, what's the consequence? Then, then his prayer is not accepted above for his needs to be filled. If he davens by rote, out of habit, like a routine. So that is in the area of avodah, where we could daven b'medida v'agbola limited and limitless. What's the limit? Limit is you do it regularly. Since I have fixed times to daven, so I daven. But it loses the quality, it loses the kavanah, it loses the passion. Beyond limit means that despite the fact that we do it regularly, it's like a new experience. So that's the the beyond limit within the area of avodah. So too in the area of the study of Torah, same idea, similar idea we find concerning Torah. Although Torah is not a mitzvah that is caused by time, which means to say it's not a mitzvah dependent on time. For example, like Shabbos or like Yom Tif, right? Or like Tefillin, where these mitzvahs have fixed times when we perform them, and other times when we can't perform them. Torah is not like that. It is not a mitzvah that is fixed by time. We are actually obligated to study Torah day and night. So therefore, it would seem, so in other words, I'm sorry, so the Rebbe says like this, being that it's constant, it's a mitzvah that we have to perform all the time. So it's innately beyond limit. It has no limit, it's not limited to any specific time. So where do we find the limited aspect, the possibility for something limited, limited attitude towards the study of Torah? Says the Rebbe, it is possible for the study of Torah to be in a limited and measured way. For example, that one studies Torah occasionally, at fixed times, right? As the Gemara says in Sanhedrin. Why? Why not study Torah day and night as is the chiyuv, as is the obligation? Because the person finds permissible scenarios, even according to Shulchan Aruch, he finds permissible methods to fulfill his obligation b'perek echad shachris or b'perek echad arvis, to study one chapter or one piece of Torah in the morning and one piece of Torah in the evening. The halacha is that if somebody is busy, genuinely busy, because he has to earn a living and he can't study Torah day and night, so it's enough, it's sufficient if he studies a little bit in the morning and a little bit in the evening, even though the mitzvah of limud Torah is 24/7.
No, really, the Torah is like only like the day. I mean, like the Ketuvah. Where are you limited in the Torah?
You mean in the synagogue?
I mean, like the actual Torah, not like all of the.
But that's part of the Torah. Everything, the Torah shebechtav, Torah shebapeh, it's all part of the Torah that was given by Hashem at Sinai.
But so, I mean, you're more limited, way more limited if you work. You have only maybe time, like even like here in this country, like at night, basically you can't study.
What can't you say at night? The only thing you can.
Yes, yeah.
The only thing that al pi Kabbalah,
yeah.
We're not allowed to. One should not recite after Tzeit HaKochavim, after the stars come out, until Chatzot, Laila, until midnight,
Torah.
Is Mikra. Mikra. That's it. Yeah. But that's to say it. I'm allowed to learn. I'm allowed to think of Chumash. Mikra is just to say the verses. Right? If you
verses of what?
verses of Mikra, Torah, Nevi'im, and Ksuvim, the written Torah.
The written Torah, you're not.
Tilim, we don't say.
You're not allowed to learn or to recite.
To recite.
So you can learn from Torah between those hours, but you can't say the words.
Of Mikra.
What are you repairing lining, for example?
That's something else. That's probably not in that category. But for example, Tilim, we don't say between Tzesak Chovim and Chatzos. It's like the idea of dinim. It has to do with the Sfirot and so on and so forth. If you look in the back of the Tilim, there's a special Yehirotza that you say. If you say it's a special prayer, if you say Tilim after Tzesak Chovim.
Sorry, what times don't we say Tilim?
From nightfall.
From sundown.
Not from sundown. From nightfall. From when the stars come out. From nightfall.
Nightfall.
Until midnight.
Oh, you don't say Tilim?
No. The only times we do is Rosh Hashanah. There's an exemption. Rosh Hashanah is exempt, and Yom Kippur is exempt. And I believe Shana Rabbah is also, even though we say Tilim after Chatzos anyway. But Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur is exempt. You could say 24/7. That's why, for example, our minig is, and many communities have a minig, that on Yom Kippur night after Ma'ariv, we recite the whole Tilim. Because Yom Kippur is on a higher level, so it's not a problem. But here he's talking about learning Torah. Learning Torah, there are no limits, not even to Mikra. And the obligation to learn Torah is 24/7. So therefore the question is, Torah inherently is beyond limit. So where does the limited aspect of Torah come in? He says a person can find permissible scenarios, permissible foundations within halakha to study less because he's busy. So if we're busy, so then we become a little busier, so to speak, right? And we could sort of find either we're really more busy or not really more busy, but because of that, we could limit our study of Torah. The ad to such an extent that if the halach is that if somebody is really busy, ultimately you can fulfill your obligation by just by reciting the verse Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. We can fulfill our obligation of studying Torah under certain circumstances. So people can fall into the trap of finding excuses for not studying as much Torah as they should, and therefore limiting their engagement in the study of Torah. And despite the fact that a person indeed can find permitted halachic conditions and rules for not studying 24/7, as is prescribed, nonetheless, the sages say that if whoever has the possibility to study the Torah and doesn't, gets punished for it. Right? So that is the idea of limited engagement as it is within the area of study of Torah. The Rebbe is speaking here about serving Hashem in two modes. There's a mode of serving Hashem in a limited way, and there's a mode of serving Hashem in an unlimited way. In which areas? In the three areas upon which the whole world stands and which encapsulates the entire Avodas Hashem, which is Torah, Avodah, and Gemilas Chasadim. The study of Torah, davening, and acts of loving kindness. And the Rebbe explained all three, started from the acts of loving kindness, explained this in Avodah, in service of Hashem, in davening, and also in Torah. He just finished off with the Torah. This is the idea of measure and limit in serving Hashem in actuality, in the actual fact, in B'Poel, in serving Hashem, actually serving Hashem. The areas of action, speech, and thought. Gemilas Chasadim being the area of action. Limud Torah, the study of Torah, which is more related to the, I'm not sure exactly what he's referring to, whether it's Gemilas Chasadim, Torah, and Avodah.
Isn't action connected to
loving kindness? But then he says a speech and a thought. So speech could be tefillah, because we utter it with the mouth, and machshava could be, machshava is connected to the kavanah, or to understanding. So that's Torah. But be that as it may, in all these three areas, because as the Rebbe said, this idea of limited and unlimited we find in the actual Avodas Hashem, in actual serving Hashem, in our approach to serving Hashem, and also in the spheres, in the divine spheres above. So the first area where the Rebbe explained that we have these two modes of limited and unlimited is in actual Avodas Hashem, and in actual Avodas Hashem itself, the Rebbe explained it in all three areas of Torah, Avodah, and Gemilas Chasadim. And now the Rebbe goes on to explain it in the other areas that he enumerated before, and more about it at the Mitzvah Shem on Sunday morning. Good Chodesh. Good Shabbos.